And a lot of my students kind of felt a bit intimidated by the professors and the senior lecturers and the administrative staff. But if a safe environment is pre-recorded so that there's no this fear of being on stage and being looked down by so many people, they can talk about their work and build a bit of confidence.
Kia ora whānau, welcome back. We have another episode here on season 5. I have very special guest. It come all the way from UK. Isn't it? Is it UK?
UK, yeah.
We will talk about the story of UK, but Sahir, welcome and how are you?
Kia ora. Thank you so much. Thanks, Cordrian. It's nice to be here on Voice of Aroha after having you on my podcast, the Smooth Wind Society, for twice now. And it would have even been a third time before, but things messed up. But glad to be here. Glad when I do the interviews, it's online, but you've made me take a flight, travel for 48 hours. We even crash landed in the Maldives. I was there for 14 hours. And then I came here just to make this show for you. So.
Oh, you see, this is the dedication. Yeah, thank you. At least you made it safe here.
Yeah. We made it.
It's
good.
So I appreciate your time and coming here. We will have more conversations, but also I am today co-hosting this with my colleague, Rata. Rata, how are you?
I am great. I'm very, very excited to chat through this wealth of wisdom and clearly dedication and passion.
Wisdom's a strong word.
Knowledge, mataranga, everything. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah. So maybe from that wisdom, we will back to that. Why you see is heavy. You just finished your PhD.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
By just finished, I think for people listening, I finished in September last year. I am back here for my graduation. My graduation's tomorrow, so excited about that. But yeah, if you want, the day I submitted my PhD, the feeling was I need to sleep now. It was no sort of celebration. It was a thank God. I think a year later, I'm still like, thank God. But but it was fun, I think. Overall, on the whole, I feel I'm better for the experience. It was fun. I learned interesting things. And I think the bottom line is I enjoyed the topic of research which I was doing. And if you enjoy what you're doing, you can do it a lot longer, right? So it's that kind of thing. And I've moved. Since then, I'm working. And I work in a similar but not the exact same field. I still work with alcohol. But I used to work in it as sort of the effects of alcohol, and now I'm sort of working at like how we can help people who have substance use issues. So it's around the same field. It's around what I enjoy doing. But yeah.
So we will go more deep dive into the area of study and work and stuff. But before that, Sahara, we were just excited about that you coming here in person, having this opportunity to conduct this interview. So if we start, ask our people, if I give you the mic, want to introduce yourself, how you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. I can introduce myself in a few ways. All right, so I am Sahir Hussain. I am about 5'9". I am from Wellington, so I was born in Ponape in New Zealand, but then I have lived in the USA, UK, and India. So my accent has none of them. I have been an immigrant everywhere I have been. It's always been fun. I like research. I like podcasting. That's what my Smooth Wind Society podcast is. Follow us, like, subscribe, do all the shout outs now. Smoothwindsociety.com. Check us out there. And I love having conversations. As you can see, I talk a lot. That's why I got into podcasting. I love research. I love science. And yeah, that's all you really need to know about me. I'm okay at baking and cooking. That's also there. Yeah, that's about it.
Amazing. So what do you want to start with? Should we start with his background of study knowledge or
I was thinking to the uninitiated.
Yeah.
What was your PhD on?
All right. So my PhD was actually on looking at how when fathers drink alcohol, how that impacts the next generation. So instead of, a lot of research is kind of done on once children are born, if you grow up in an alcoholic household, as in like in a household where parents are using substances, there seems to be sort of negative outcomes because of it. But I was actually interested in why, in sort of how if fathers are drinking alcohol beforehand, how that might impact the development of the child.
Wow.
This is very important because we learn a lot about fetal alcohol syndrome, right? So, like when mothers drink during pregnancy, it's not a good thing. But there is actually not a lot of research about fathers and the role they play, although you get 50% of your genes from your father. A lot of the genes in early development come only from the father. That's another misconception which a lot of people have. So, a lot of people think 50% of your genes come from the mother and 50 from the father, and that's it. But actually, there's a bit of a difference, and certain specific things come from the father and certain specific things come from the mother. And I think that sort of got me interested in that idea. And then I was interested in drug use from undergrad studies. Professor Bart Ellenbrook, who was my supervisor, gave a lecture way back, and I was hooked into the idea around understanding drug use and substance use. So yeah, so that's why I got into it and what my research is about. Yeah.
That's so cool. I'm already learning a lot. That treasure of wisdom. Good questions. Good.
Treasure of
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how was the journey for you? Like when you started, and what was the finding of at the end of it?
Ooh, of the research findings. Whoa. How we started. So this is very important, which I need to caveat. My PhD work was with animals. So I did it with rats. And there's a few reasons to do it. One is because a human life is 80, 90, 100 years long, depending on where you live. It's a lot harder to study across generations in humans. Also, we have a lot more things in our lives, right? Diet's different, the environment's different, and so on. Those things can be controlled in animals. And rats live for about a year, 2 years, depending on the species. So I can look at multiple generations together, which is important for when I'm trying to look at effects which happen across generations. And so the way the project worked was I gave male rats, so fathers, alcohol before they mated with a female rats who did not have any exposure to drugs. So it's really controlled. We're trying to see only the impact of alcohol. That's why we did it. And then those animals had kids. So the drunk rats, for use of a better term, had kids, and we had a control rats which only drank water. They had kids, and we then looked at various different behavioral experiments, various different gene expression experiments, various different things to sort of see if there's any differences in their development, in their behaviors in any way, maybe in terms of how their bodies might function. Maybe their liver function is different because if your dad was alcoholic, maybe it affects you. And we found some really interesting things. Now, I also need to predicate that because these are animals and because these are rats, there's no one-to-one comparison with humans, but they give you a good indication of certain things which we might see, or certain things we can look out for, or certain things to be aware of. One of those things was that the offspring of the alcoholic fathers were slightly smaller, so indicating sort of maybe some sort of growth problems. This is also corroborated by the research, not just mine, that these sort of things happen. There's some other cool stuff was also seen. So, for example, male and female offspring. So, whether you had sons or daughters, for example, sons and daughters behave differently on different impacts, which kind of shows that your biological sex might also play a role. So, it's not just that your dad is drinking has an impact, but the way the impact happens might be because of your biological sex. But then even within that, there was variation. So it was very interesting to see that just alcohol can have sort of these effects on downstream. Yeah.
Yeah, no, very interesting.
That's awesome. That's
It's
so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. So when this is how long was the journey of PhD? How many years?
So the PhD was 3.5
3.5
years, but
years,
I
right.
started this project a year prior to that.
Wow.
So I came back from the UK. I was doing my master's in the UK, and I came back during COVID.
Right.
And I started working for my supervisor, Professor Bart Ellenbrook, because he had a job opening. And we started doing a little bit of this sort of work. And then because we were getting along and we had some ideas of where we wanted to take it, because we also looked at mothers and fathers, and the reason we decided to focus on fathers was in that pre-PhD sort of time. And then we decided, okay, let's do a PhD on it. And yeah, so that's Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I'd say 3 years, but I've been working with alcohol and rats for a total of 6-7 years. I
Right,
would say
right.
before moving away from it now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, that's really interesting. Interesting how a study that it was at least focused on the father side or the male side of it, which is, do you know why? What is it from experience? Why? Why the male are discriminated?
There's many ways to look at it, right? I was asked this before, and I said, "Why do you look at men?" Because I'm a feminist. Because you blame women all the time, so maybe we should start looking at some of the things which might be from the men's side. The first point of call is to blame women, but not just that. It's also actually very hard, right? By very hard, I mean it's easy to focus on mothers and the children because females are the ones which get pregnant. Then all the impacts of the utero environment can also play a role, and so it's a lot easy to focus on the mothers, while the father's role is basically before conception, and then once the child is born, we're taking care of the child growing up, right? In generally speaking, when we think about it, and so a lot of work hasn't necessarily been done on it because it's very hard to control for that time. Like, at what time do we control for someone to actually get pregnant? When did conception happen? All these things are very hard to sort of control and look at. But then also, another very important thing is what was taught by people before is that the father's genes are always just the same. So we don't need to see how any sort of thing like in the environment might impact them. Which is not true, which is not the case. And this has only started, well, there was voices about it before, but it's only taken flight more recently, which means now that it's taken flight more recently, there is more focus on it. Also, it's technologies. Sperm is very tiny. Sperm DNA and RNA and the sperm environment is very small again. So having to study that, we didn't have the technology before. So now having the technology also helps. So there's a few reasons.
Yeah.
One can be just, like you said, representation and that. But then there's a lot of other possible reasons which have to do with just science and technology, which, didn't play out.
Yeah.
It's really cool to hear about changes in both technology and people's interests being used to kind of bridge gaps of discrimination, also just our awareness and information.
Yeah.
So that's really, really, really cool and fabulous to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from this side of interesting work, interesting discovery and researching into podcasting. Tell, what is the story of this podcast?
So
How you started and what's the story behind it?
So a little bit of what you just did with me right now, right? So we spoke about my work. I quite enjoy talking about my work. I hope you guys understood and liked it. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry, listeners who did not.
We were interested. So, I'm thinking about those rats winning the dragon.
Yeah, and then you started
Behavioral
thinking of how
right?
can this apply to humans?
Exactly,
You start
yeah.
thinking, when did my dad's drinking impact me
That
potentially?
kind of questions
sort
and
of
stuff
things,
like
yeah.
that.
And it was sort of getting these ideas out there. But there's another side to it, which is, so the way it essentially started was a lot of my students, I was a tutor at university, and a lot of my students kind of felt a bit intimidated by the professors and the senior lecturers and the administrative staff and things. Of course, because you're an 18-year-old kid who's away from home. Wow, these people are all strangers to you, and they pretend they're really smart. I mean, they are really smart in some ways, but not in other ways. And I thought that a good way to sort of bridge that gap or make people feel comfortable is get them on and chat about their work in a non-lecture setting. So just have fun, talk about their work a little bit. We can make 1 or 2 jokes about it as well. And they will learn, and I will learn because I do not know what all of my professors do. I just know that they're nice people. But then that way, any listener, any student might listen to it and kind of, okay, Mark Wolfson, for example, is not a bad person. He's friendly, he's nice, he just sounds very smart because when he's giving the lectures, and that means I could probably approach him and so on. And people learn something. My students would feel more relaxed that these people are just humans, and lecturers get to talk about their work. So that was the start of it. And then I liked it, and then I have the idea that everybody has something interesting to tell, right? So Kodrian came on and shared his story. Maria K. Jaspers came on with Kodrian and spoke about research side in terms of refugees. instead of working with migrants and refugee community backgrounds. So that was really cool, sort of the contrast of lived experience versus working with the group. Nuzha Salim, who came on a couple episodes ago, spoke about the sort of same things from a research perspective. So it's good to get those conversations out there, and it's fun. And the way I call it Smooth Brain Society is from the idea that someone being smooth brain means they're dumb. In this case, I'm dumb, right? I do not know. I know about alcohol and rats. That's about it. Even that's a stretch how much I know. But everybody knows their own thing and can talk about it, and we can learn from them. And me being the smooth brain, getting someone wrinkly brain. So wrinkly brain is like someone who's really smart about their respective topic. Explaining it to me seems like a nice way to do it. So that's why the Smooth Brain Society. And yeah, does that hopefully answer your question, story?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a
That's
cool
beautiful.
story. Hey.
Yeah.
I love just how much accessibility you're bringing, kind of both your research and also your idea of podcasting is just, aiming to help people so much. And especially having been very recently an 18-year-old student who was terrified of talking to all my lecturers, it's like that stuff that really does, I think, tangibly help people. And it's just such a lovely idea for a podcast. And
Yeah.
it sounds really, really cool, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next stage can also be, now you go from a scared 18-year-old to someone who likes research but is scared to sort of talk about it. And that's where you help the PhD students. I've had a few PhD students come on, and they talk about their work in sort of a safe environment. It's pre-recorded so that there's no this fear of being on stage and being looked down by so many people. They can talk about their work and build a bit of confidence. And other people can also learn from their work, because the whole point of a PhD is doing something which has never been done before. So as a PhD student, you're the only one who's done this work. Nobody else in the world has. You have this specific knowledge, and you should feel comfortable in sharing it. So then even they get to share their work or share their stories, and that gets on. And I also should shout out that although I do it on my own, like the podcast, I've had a lot of friends and people help along the way. So I need to shout out Olivia Webb, who was my co-host for the first, I think, 20 episodes before she got a bit too busy for us. And then the logo is designed by Jeremy Hall, who's like my friend who does creative work, because I am not a good artist. I'm terrible at it. And a lot of other people, my brother Amr Hussein's come on and co-hosted a few times. Alap Hassan, who's done some of the other diagrams and stuff for us, logos for us. So yeah, there's people who come on and co-host and help and things from time to time. Salient podcast producers, Fran and Alex, when I was with Salient for a little bit. So yeah, so I just wanted to shout them all out to say they've all helped at various parts. It's not only been me, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's cool. And how often you do it? So is it like weekly, 2 weeks, monthly?
So the way it works is because you need to sort of pay for uploading and keeping things on all platforms, and I do it and I just pay myself. I try to just keep it to 2 episodes a month. I would like to do more. If I ever get funding, I will. But until then, as it stands, also time commitments, right? Because you're doing it yourself. You need you need to have time to record, edit, publish, and also finding guests. Sometimes it's harder.
Exactly.
Some weeks it's easier. You have to remember, people are busy. They have lives. All as much as they'd like to talk about themselves, you need to find the time to do it. And yeah, you have to give up an hour to an hour and a half of your day, right? So sometimes that happens. But yeah, it works out. Also now with me being in the UK, time zones are a big thing, trying to find. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think twice a month at the moment is the rate, and hopefully we can go more in the future, but we'll see.
Yeah, nah, it's just a great. That's how we started as well.
Yeah, because you
Really
guys are
good.
massive now. I remember, I
know.
remember when I first met you. This wasn't there. It was just some little online recordings, and now look at the cameras. This is incredible. To put voiceofaroha on the
Because here we
mic.
have a logo and a star here. We have some caps here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Look at that setup.
Yeah.
There'll be soon be that YouTube. What do you say? The plaque which you get for like the gold and silver.
Yeah, that's
When you
what
get
we're
like
waiting,
100K
guys.
subscribers
So
or something.
subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe, follow, share. Voiceofaroha, everyone.
Yeah.
And Smooth Brain Society.
Absolutely.
Hey, there you go.
So this is the cool thing, like how you find the gaps or you find the interest of the students that who are shying or who can, or get into those embarrassing situations or who then really get boring of listening directly from the lectures into moving into online world or into podcasting, which is everyone is there now. Everyone have a phone. Everyone can listen by radio, by computer, by phone. So that's a cool. Then my question is now, you said I will do it, and you keep doing it by yourself. Are you really enjoying it? Is it hard? What is happening? And between how you managing between your life, between work and study?
I'm a great multitasker.
Good.
Yeah, for people who want to employ me, I'm a great multitasker.
Oh,
No, yeah, because my contract ends soon at work, so I need to start. This is also my job application at the same time.
Your employer is listening or not?
I have no clue. We'll see. Maybe they're
Surely,
better.
fingers
I'll send it
crossed.
to them.
Extend the contract.
But yeah, no. See, my mom always says that you need to do what you enjoy, and if you make money out of it, then it's good. But if you don't, then so be it. You're enjoying it, and I quite love it. It's been hard, especially learning how to edit and
Yeah.
things like that. But overall, it's been fun, and you get to learn cool things. You meet so many cool people. I had very rarely can people say they've had conversations with people from so many different backgrounds. I've had study and learn about so many different things. So, for example, I've spoke to Terry Sprudrick about politics in New Zealand. I've spoken to Mark Wilson about conspiracy theories. I've spoken to Matt Hammond about what works in relationships and what doesn't. I've spoken to Hedwig and Dr. Adrian Rain about psychopaths and what we can do to stop murderers in terms of development if you notice them young. You get to talk to so many people. You have learned about artificial intelligence. I've learned about the intersection of artificial intelligence and indigenous cultures and communities and how that might be a problem. I've learned about genetics. I've learned about so many things which I had no clue about just by talking to people. And why would I stop? It's just the same conversations I would have, but now I have an incentive to ask people to come and talk about their work. And yeah, of course, I've spoken to Quadrian, I've spoken to Lewis, I've spoken to so many people from Voice of Aroha and adjacent. So yeah, you make more connections from it. So I love it.
Absolutely. And it's, that's what we also do here. It's like a hui.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's what we're doing with you now. We're learning about you, the things you call, the things you do. Every session we go out from it, it's a lot about the knowledge we gain from the people we bring, and also learning about their journey, what motivates them, about their why, about these kind of things, because I think in this crazy world that is going on, we need these kind of stories. We need this more about how people made it, how people are thinking differently, how people are making opportunities from something that we maybe didn't think about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think I would be more interesting to listen and hear and watch than going watch some crazy news and other stuff that's happening. Really, because who's watching now TV, guys? The normal straight media has been going down, right?
But it's also the type of stories, right? Because a lot of people listen to celebrity stories, which is cool, but you don't realize how incredible some regular stories are. Kind of like, what was it, The Humans of New York or something?
Yes.
Yes,
How incredible some of those stories are. It's the same sort of thing, but from at least in my context, it's a little bit more from the research or sort of like a practical social research or psychology, sociology, neuroscience, anthropology, political science side of things a little bit more, because you're trying to learn about phenomenon and behaviors. And I think people find it cool learning about something which they don't do in their daily lives. But yeah, it's the same thing, right? You can learn about how cool those people's journeys were.
Absolutely.
For example, if a professor says, I failed statistics, don't worry, I still made it. You feel so much better about yourself. Being like, yeah, okay, this is hard. This is hard for some person who almost won a Nobel Prize. And they still find these things hard and they're willing to admit it, but they're good at other things. And you can take so much from that, not just from like bigger celebrities. You can
Absolutely.
like, other people.
That's the one. Making
Gorgeous.
normal people to be our real celebrities.
Exactly.
Real heroes there. Because when we bring like refugee background people, migrants, who tell their journeys, who tell the other stories that they do in the society, which is, the kind of 99%, is that story has not been told in the mainstream media. And you don't hear this kind of, if someone like us, like you, the others, if you don't bring them, because with our friends, is our community, we can bring them to those podcasts to listen at least to this one. And then people say, who's listening to this, right? But, if we keep going, if we're having 200 people like there,
Exactly.
100 of them is listening, 10 people are taking actions, one person is making a difference. That's
Exactly.
the one, right?
Yeah. You help one person. It's a
That's
big
the
thing.
one. Yeah.
Like, I remember just seeing one person with a Smooth Brain Society top somewhere else who I didn't know, and I was like, yo, at least someone's listening to this, and it clearly impacted them enough that they want it. Or like when I get a Patreon subscriber, you're like, someone not only likes it, but they want to actually help out in a way. And it's those little things.
Absolutely, yeah.
And some other friends of mine have also like listening to it. We're like, can we start our own podcast and talk about our own things? So, for example, Thora Abdul Rasul talks about racism and like sort of the legal stuff around it. But on her podcast, and it was because I started my podcast. She was like, "Do you think I should start mine? I want to talk about these things. I'm like, do it. Why not? Let people will learn. I think it's good. I think as much as nonsense there is out there, you need to counter it with other things as well. So, yeah.
I think it's just a great. So we have 5 more minutes, like one or two questions, right?
I just want to say thank you so much for talking about for us exploring this butterfly effect of impact. I think it's a really beautiful way of considering both how we see individuals' lives and stories, but also again of who knows what the impact is from you seeing people you don't know wearing a Smooth Brain Society shirt, and as you say, Kodran, is also the difference that people make in their lives from the messages they've heard and the research that they're probably hearing about might make them think about how they drink alcohol in the future and stuff like that, and how it might affect their kids. So it's just really, really awesome. But go for it, Kodran. Last couple of questions.
Sorry,
I love this conversation.
Before you said that, I could say you can flip it around on you guys, because voiceofaroha was tiny before, and how much you've grown. You speak, people listen. Some people want to get involved. They come. You get more listeners, more people working. You get more cameras around.
It's a power of community, power of people. No, we've been glad that. People start supporting the program, That's why I say I'm glad when I see some people started. I'm a person, I love to pass the knowledge, how we do it, or what kind of things we do. Because a lot of people have asked, a lot of other program makers too. But there's one thing, it's keep going.
Yeah.
We started 3.5 years full voluntarily.
Yeah.
But because of passion, of love. And even now we are talking, I think we mentioned the team the other day, if we went because now the funding is a little bit tight and things is down. So he said, okay, what will happen if we go? Some of the team say, oh, we are happy to go back to the volunteer. It's a cool,
nice.
it's
that's
hear,
so nice,
hear that. I don't want to turn it that kind of way, but when you hear such a thing, it give you to keep going. You do more best to grow it more, bring more things that it keeps sustainable and going on. I think all the great people we met through the journey, the first cohort we were, the 7 people who started up kind of the first group when we just on the radio and stuff like that. It was very joy. And I was also a bad designer. Now I love it. I love Canva. And there's not an advertisement for Canva, but thank you actually, Canva. We want to thank them, Canva, because they actually have a great deal for non-profit organizations.
True,
so shout out to Canva for allowing voiceofaroha to have access to those designs,
Not a sponsored message, but
not a sponsored message, but I mean, it's just a thank you one. We didn't get any money, things just a free subscription. I think is by the time it's also, what also make it great, the people's stories, that's our power. That's our also, when we started this, I remember we were just at one table, we were talking about our stories, and now it's other people's stories. So, it's always like a passing the things to let other people talking. And we've been enjoying interviewing people, asking questions. But when you guys meet a podcaster, he will start asking you questions. That's where we are ending up now. You're interviewing us. Okay, so we are coming to last 2-3 minutes. I want to give you the mic, and before that, I also shout out to people who subscribe to voiceofaroha. Please go subscribe to Smooth Brain Society, which is a lot of knowledge, and the professors and the normal people talk about different topics. Cool. I listen to it. I get the email, so it's cool.
Nice.
I enjoy it. Yeah. So if I give you what should be your message, and it's your time.
My message. See, I ask people the same question, or a very similar question at the end of my episode, and I've gotten good answers. And I don't. That's the thing. All of them are coming into my head, but I want to be different. I don't know. There's a lot of messages I can give from personal experience. Make sure you show up on time to the airport is one. So always stay hydrated. Wear sunscreen, especially in New Zealand. Those advices. Have fun. Nothing's too deep. You can enjoy things. So you can find joy in almost anything, I think. I tell people a lot, don't be a coward, which I say it for fun. But I think it kind of comes to the point of like, yeah, be brave, don't be scared to like, if you want to start a podcast, share some knowledge. Oh, come on, podcast, come on, voiceofaroha, contact Smooth Brain Society, whatever. Feel free. Most people are actually very friendly, so and welcoming, and yeah. And also, don't read the comment section on social media. That's no, don't do that.
Oh, or just read it, but have a big heart. This is not about
Strong,
you. Just
steel
leave
heart of
it.
steel.
World will not change if you add your comment on that.
Yeah.
And one person gave me a 4-star review on Spotify, and it still hurts because I was like, whoa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sahir. It's just glad we had again opportunity conversation, which is guys, this is like amazing. We get them in person because we recorded online one. What didn't work well, the internet and things. But I'm just glad that finally we made it in person.
Yeah.
Big congratulations on your graduation as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for making it here and for giving us your time and coming
Thank
here.
you so much. Have you submitted your master's
Yes.
since then? So yeah, congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Yeah, thank you, Rata.
Do you have a big achievement as well to share, Rata, before we go?
I'm here every day is an achievement.
Brilliant.
No, I'm feeling the angst of like, I want to ask you all these more questions, but very fortunately, you're on the Smooth Brain Society, so I can go get my fill of all the
Exactly.
episodes of research. So
There
I'm
you
sure
go.
everyone else has probably got many more questions about your exciting work and everything like that. But I can't wait to hear about it on the next episode.
Awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for your time and for coming,
No.
as Kodran said, all the way to New Zealand for this conversation. It's been absolutely incredible. And thank you for your work and the passion, the love, the accessibility that you're making in this world. And you can really see how much it comes from your heart, and it's just really lovely to see that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, thank you again. Thanks,
Thank you.
two of you. Thank you, Voice of Aroha. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for those who
Thank
stayed
you.
on so far.
Amazing. So we are having still tradition in season 5. When we finish, we tell the guest, we have a question for you.
Okay.
This is one of the guests left us. Okay.
Okay.
So
I guess.
you don't know the guest who was it,
Okay.
and so we'll see what they write for you. We just opened it now.
Okay. But they wrote for me.
They
Ask
didn't
a question
know who
for
it
the
was.
next guest, and
Okay,
also
okay.
they don't know who is it. You will also have opportunity to write your question for whoever is the next guest.
Okay. This is
Alright.
beautiful. I like this.
Yeah.
I
So
might even steal this idea.
the question is like, who is your most listened to
Artists.
artist on Spotify?
Who is my most
Yeah.
listened to artist on
Yes.
Spotify? Damn, I would need to check this. I listen to podcasts more than artists.
If it's
but-
Smooth Brain Society.
No. Smooth Brain Society is not in my top listen to. Don't worry about that. I don't mix numbers like that. But let's go artists. All right, music. Oh, there's a Spotify rap thing, right? So you can take
Yeah.
a look. You can take a look. All right. Here we go. The funny thing is number 4 is Lonely Island, but that oh, do you know who those guys are? They make spoof music, they make spoof songs, but they're number 4. Number 3 is Kendrick Lamar. Number 2 is One Direction,
Nice.
Oh, okay.
And number 1?
Who's number 1?
and number 1 is Lomas Brown.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool.
I think that's a pretty wide sort of range as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice getting. We got 1 to 5 as well, 1 to 4 as well. So you gave us a
Yeah.
good representation, good answer for that question.
If it makes you feel any better or worse, number 5, 2 years ago, in my top 5, I had Phineas and Ferb's theme song.
Wow.
Or like the soundtrack
Yeah.
was in like my most listened album. So yeah, I don't. take
It is
what you
very
want.
catchy. It is very catchy.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Now we can